Hello, 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 and welcome to another season 2 episode of Viva Aaliyah. I'm so excited to chat with y'all today. We have had a week, we have had a month. It is still November, I think, and we are about to head into the last month of the year. Can you believe 2020 is almost over? We're about to be into 2021. It is so weird to just think that this year is almost over. I still feel like I'm in March. I feel like I say this every episode, but I still feel like I'm in March. We have a wonderful episode for you. The majority of the episode is going to be me talking to you about some things that are going on in the LGBTQI plus community, and talk to you about some facts and educate some girls tonight, honey. But before we do that, I want to know what's in your glass. So go ahead and let me know what you're drinking tonight. You know that is something we love to have on the show. Talk to me about what you're drinking. And while you message in what you're drinking, we have a very, very, very special bartender guest for what's in your glass. I do want to explain once again, I'm going to do this every episode, why we have a special bartender. As y'all know, we are in a pandemic. And numbers are going up again. And actually, I met this very beautiful person in Roanoke, Virginia last week. I had the pleasure of being served by this person, and we got along great. This person is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful soul. But we have virtual bartenders each week because during the pandemic, some of the hardest industries hit are the nightlife and the service industries. And so these bartenders who make you your drinks when you go out to dinner, who are serving you when you're going out to the clubs, are not working and trying to live off very low means because, as we all know, I'm sure, the unemployment rate is going up and the unemployment money is going down. We do not have those stipends anymore. And so we wanted to make sure that we have these bartenders each week on the show and feature them so that you can, if you are able to, give them $1, give them 50 cents, give them anything, send them a Venmo, send them a Cash App. We just want to make sure that they're taken care of and these beautiful souls still are able to function in these hard times. So without further ado, this golden margarita for me. Hi, Aunt Sheila. So without further ado, I want to bring on a box of wine, a lovely boxed Malbec. Sarah, I can't wait to see you tomorrow. We have a brunch tomorrow. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, we have a beautiful bartender all the way from Roanoke, Virginia. I just saw this person at the park, and I want y'all to give it up for my friend, Cody Calvert.
Hello, my name is Cody, and I'm from Roanoke, Virginia, and I'm a bartender at the Park Gay Nightclub, and I'm going to show you guys how to make a tongue-tied apple pie. It has fireball, apple pucker, and apple cider. You can also make it with pineapple juice. Either way is fine, whichever is your preference. They're both pretty tasty. So first we're going to do 1.5 ounces of fireball. Okay. The next part is 1/2 ounce of apple pucker. Okay. And then the rest is pretty simple. Just going to fill on up the glass with apple cider. Also to give it a little bit more of a kind of sour, but also yet sweet, kind of like a sour apple. You can also put a splash of sweet and sour mix as well. But anyway, so that's how you make it.
All right. That is my dear friend Cody Calvert. And once again, if you have not, if you could not read or did not see because you were paying attention to his beautiful face, their beautiful face, go ahead and look below. We have Cody Calvert's Venmo, Cody-Calvert-5, or Cash App, $ Cody Calvert. You can send him $1, $2, $3, $4, 20, 50s, 100s. But if you're going to send something that big, you better send me something. No, I'm just kidding. We just want to make sure that our nightlife industry is taken care of. So thank you for tuning in. And thank you, Cody, for that delicious drink. Tonight we are drinking, I feel like this is like a great popsicle. Wouldn't you agree? We recently went up to the Finger Lakes and got some grape hooch from the Finger Lakes, so some corn whiskey. And so we made cocktails tonight with that. It's a little bit of corn whiskey, grape hooch, a little bit of Cointreau, a little bit of pucker, some lime juice, and then some grape juice on top of that. And it really does taste like a great popsicle. It's so good. So once again, you can see Cody's Venmo and Cash App streaming below. I'm going to take a drink to Cody, and then we are going to dive right in. All right, y'all. I want to talk to y'all about something that has been on my heart and on my mind, especially recently. We'll throw a picture up here in just a second, but recently our industry, the entertainment, queer, drag industry, lost a very beautiful soul. This queen and beautiful woman has graced us on the Continental stage numerous times. She has some of the most beautiful gowns, one of the most beautiful faces, and I have only met her once, and it was at Continental, so I didn't get to talk to her very long, but I know that her drag and performance family and chosen family, really, we've talked about chosen family on the show before, has really, really, really just had an outpouring of love for her. She's been across the nation on news channels recently because she, unfortunately, her life was taken from us very soon by her partner. And this show is not necessarily just about her, but it is going to be about her at the end. And so we are paying homage and dedicating this episode to Uni Carey. Uni has been such a beautiful soul. She is, look at her. You can just tell she is full of beauty and full of grace. And I'm going to miss seeing her on that Continental stage. I'm positive that Jim Flint and the Continental family will be doing quite a bit this year to honor her. They already have on their Instagram and on their Facebook. And so what I wanted to talk to you about today, this week is Transgender Awareness Week, and yesterday was Transgender Day of Remembrance. And what I want to talk to y'all about today is about the really epidemic of transgender lives that have been taken from us in this country. We unfortunately have lost over 30 lives so far, and I'll get into the actual numbers. I'm going to do a bit of reading directly from my cards today because I don't want to get any of these facts wrong. And I want to talk to you about what trans people go through in our country, particularly trans women of color. There are many, many trans lives lost, but the most impacted group is trans women of color. And within the trans women of color community, it is Black trans women. And so the first fact, I guess I want to read to you is 2020 has already seen at least 37 transgender or gender nonconforming people fatally shot or killed by other violent means, the majority of which were Black and Latinx transgender women. We say at least because, unfortunately, these go unreported very often. These murders, these homicides go unreported very often, or misreported. And by misreported, we'll get into that in a second. So our justice system clearly has been off the mark for the past 4 years, and that includes our police force, that includes the judges, that includes lawyers. They are misreporting and misinforming the public about what's going on in the LGBTQI plus community. And we have lost so many brothers and sisters, so many people that we care about, and so many people that we love. And it just can't happen anymore. We have to make a change. In a little bit, we're going to play a video montage that we put together. But I do want to get into a few more statistics. Of the 37 victims reported, 22 were Black and 7 were Latinx. 25 total were Black or Latinx women. So out of that 37, 25 were Black or Latinx women. And that means that it's not just Black transgender women or Latinx transgender women that are getting murdered. Our brothers are getting murdered as well. Gender nonconforming people are looped in there. And so if they don't identify as a gender, that's what gender nonconforming is. And so we need to be aware of these things. We need to speak out. We need to vote. We have another election coming up in Georgia. The South is particularly ridden with transgender murders and homicides, and we cannot stand for this anymore. We have to come together as a country, and we have to make sure that human rights are equal rights, and equal rights are human rights. There are killers still out walking among us. Think about that. Think about that when we put our children out there, we put our brothers and sisters out there. And these are chosen brothers and sisters. These are biological brothers and sisters. When we're walking the streets, a lot of my family and my extended family and my married family is from the South. And like I said, a lot of these deaths, unfortunately, have happened in the South. So a lot of these killers are still out walking among us. Due to lack of care for trans people of color, the police will let murders go unseen and unheard. They will let murders go unseen and unheard. We've seen this a lot within the Black Lives Matter movement, but we also see this within the trans lives movement. And we want to make sure that we are taking care of our people. We are Americans. America is the land of freedom. It is the home of the free and the brave. And to be yourself and to stand out publicly for who you are is to be free and to be brave. And so we need to think about that. We need to be here for our trans brothers and sisters. Any of you that want to comment in, I'm happy to have those go across the bottom of the screen. Alexis Beamer, hi honey, how are you? I'm going to be reading some will go across the screen and I may not read it, but I do want people to see what you're saying. We need to fight. We need to speak up for our transgender community. And anybody watching right now, go ahead and share this video because I am happy to put these statistics out there. I am happy to be a voice. I'm happy to use this platform and my platform and your platform, if you will allow me to make these statements and make sure that they are heard across the nation and around the world. So, while the details of all of these cases that we've talked about differ, it is clear that fatal violence disproportionately affects transgender women of color, particularly Black transgender women, as we've already mentioned, and that the intersection of racism, sexism, homophobia, biphobia, transphobia, and unchecked access to guns conspires to deprive them of employment, housing, healthcare, and other necessities. So this is not to say that these violent acts were caused by them trying to fight for their rights for healthcare or a home to live in or just the right to live, but them speaking up for themselves, it could have been one of the reasons. Them just having a basic human right of having a roof over their head, or picking up their prescription at the pharmacy, or going to the grocery store to get a loaf of bread, could have been one of the reasons that any of these people, these souls, were taken from us too early. Many of these victims are misgendered by local police statements and media reports, which can delay our awareness of deadly incidents. So this is something I definitely want to bring to the attention of everybody that watches Viva Aaliyah. Too often, our trans brothers and sisters and non-gender conforming brothers and sisters and people in our family are misgendered. It takes 2 seconds to ask somebody what their gender pronouns are. And it takes 2 seconds to say, hi, I'm Aaliyah. I go by she, her, hers when I'm performing, or my given biological name, hi, I'm Michael. And I go by he, him, his when I am out in public. What are your pronouns? I tend to stay away from saying preferred gender pronouns because the pronouns that they use are their pronouns. They are not preferred, they are just theirs. And so we want to make sure that we are welcoming that and we are saying to them, your pronouns are equally as valid as mine. And they, them, theirs is not hard to use, by the way. He, she, they. Them, theirs. He, him, his. She, her, hers. They, them, theirs. Anywhere you use the he, you can use they. That's all it is. And we do it in regular life anyways. We use they as a like, oh, I haven't met them yet. Let's take the name Ashley, for example. Ashley could be a boy's name or a girl's name. And you say they first. And we've said this for centuries and ages already. So it doesn't take extra effort to do it any more now than it did before. 2020 marks the deadliest year reported for trans individuals. As the Trump administration has given support, I will say this out loud and proud. Well, not proud, but out loud and against this administration. The Trump administration has given support to neo-Nazi and white supremacy groups across our nation. They label themselves as Proud Boys. I am very proud of my community for reclaiming that tag recently on Twitter and on Instagram. Keep it up, because when they tag themselves, they will see a bunch of ass cheeks and ass cracks. So thank you, queer men, for doing that. They label themselves as Proud Boys as their group alias. So Trump has outwardly spoken to the Proud Boys in conferences, in interviews, in presidential debates. And those groups are full of neo-Nazis and white supremacy groups. And they are a huge reason that these deaths are happening. And they will label it as a non-white person doing the crime, but they are behind it. They are the ones who have made these decisions and have really gone through and done what they did to our trans brothers and sisters and our gender conforming brothers and sisters. I'm going to read one more, and then we're going to jump into a video montage that we put together. The Federal Bureau of Investigation released 2019's hate crime data, which shows an uptick in gender identity-based hate crimes, rising, so this is just reported again, rising from 4.2% in 2018 to 4.8% in 2019. Because reporting hate crimes to the FBI, listen, because reporting hate crimes to the FBI is not mandatory. So when there are hate crimes, or when there are crimes against certain groups, a majority group in this country, actually not a majority group in this country if we actually look at it statistically, but the most prominently forward group in this country, which is white cis people, if a crime happens against them, that is not always considered a hate crime, but that does need to be reported to the FBI. So a hate crime is against somebody who is looked at as a minority or somebody who has been disproportionately treated within our system. And because reporting hate crimes, once again, to the FBI is not mandatory. These alarming statistics likely represent only a fraction of the violence that is happening within our country. So I'm not trying to make this episode a sad episode. I'm trying to make this an educational episode. Again, we lost a friend, we lost a sister, we lost somebody who is a beauty in our industry. I know, again, Carey, I am so beyond happy that I was able to meet her once in her career, and she was just as beautiful as can be. And I am so glad to have had her be a part of my life. I believe that later in the show we might be bringing on some of her chosen family. I don't want to burden them with needing to do that because this is a very hard time for them. She just passed away days ago. It was 3 days ago, I believe, that she was taken from us. But there are more deaths in this country, and we need to do something about it. And so we put together this video montage. This is a montage of both 2019 and 2020 data. And so we're going to roll this for you. Go ahead and take a look.
Dallas police investigate the death of a black transgender woman who family members have identified as 22-year-old Merci Pootie Mack. Mack was found unresponsive in the complex parking lot on Tuesday.
A shocking murder in Puerto Rico is raising concern about the safety of transgender people in the U.S. territory. Video taken just before Alex Negron's final moments last week was posted on social media. It shows her being threatened and harassed before gunshots are heard. The governor of Puerto Rico says all signs in this point to a hate crime. The Human Rights Campaign says at least 26 transgender or gender nonconforming people were killed in the U.S. last year, and 91% of those cases were black women, and 81% involved people under the age of 30.
Tonight, according to a list kept by the LGBTQ advocacy group, the Human Rights Campaign, in the past 5 years, more transgender people have been killed right here in Texas than in any other state. These pictures you see here behind me represent a violent and tragic trend happening all across our country and right here at home in Houston. These are the faces of trans women of color who were all murdered in cold blood. And tonight, we're taking an in-depth look as to what's fueling this violence and why local trans women tell me they're afraid now more than ever before.
Here to help us bring attention to the fact that this year alone, at least 18 transgender women of color have been murdered.
It's not just murders. Countless more of my trans brothers and sisters have survived brutal attacks. It's a subject deeply personal to me as someone fighting for transgender visibility, with many in my community wondering, am I next?
Tonight,
my name is Malaysia, and you can call me Lay.
The story of Malaysia Booker, an out and proud trans woman, brutally beaten, then murdered.
Say her name!
Malaysia
Booker!
My reaction honestly was, am I next?
Now taking a stand on the streets, on TV.
How lucky are we? We create ourselves.
And on the political stage.
Claire Legato, Dana Martin, Jasleen Ware, Ashanti Carmen, Claire Legato, Malaysia Booker, Michelle Tamika Washington, Paris Cameron, Shinelle Lindsay, Chanel Spurlock, Zoe Spears, Brooklyn Lindsay, Denali Berry Stuckey, Kiki Fantroy, Pebbles LaDime Dime Doe, Tracy Single, Bailey Reeves, Beloved Slater, Jalea Jamar. 18 trans women of color who have been killed so far this year. It is time for a president of the United States of America to say their names.
How will you, as president, reverse this dangerous and discriminatory agenda and ensure that the lives and rights of LGBTQ people are protected under U.S. law?
I will flat out just change the law. There should be zero discrimination. And what's happening is too many transgender women of color are being murdered. They're being murdered. There is no justification in any circumstances to deal with people in an inhumane way. None, none, none.
I've already said this once, but CNN and other news sites around the world have stated that this violence against trans people in the U.S. is an epidemic. This violence against trans people in the U.S. is an epidemic. Over the past 7 years, there have been 202 reported cases of fatal violence against transgender and gender nonconforming victims. And Black transgender women make up 66% of these deaths, according to the Human Rights Campaign. That is a huge, huge, huge number, considering the amount of transgender women that live within the transgender community. There were 7,103 hate crimes reported by the FBI in 2019. And of these, a combined 19.6% were based on sexual orientation or gender identity. Of these crimes, Aja Raquel Roan Spears, who was only 33, was stabbed to death in Portland, Oregon, while attending a vigil for another murder victim, Tyrell Penny. She was attending a vigil for somebody else and was stabbed to death at that vigil. When it comes to seeking protection, in a survey of transgender individuals, nearly 57% of all of the respondents said that they were afraid to go to the police when they needed help. 57% of them. Over half said that they were scared to go to our police forces. 58% of transgender people who interacted with law enforcement reported an experience of harassment, abuse, or mistreatment. This episode is not a full-on war against our police force. We know that in all communities there are good and there are bad people, but the bad people make the good people look bad. And so we need to make sure that we are training our forces correctly, that we are utilizing them in the way that they should be utilized, and we are utilizing healthcare workers, we are utilizing psychotherapists, we are utilizing other forces to deal with the things that need to be dealt with that police should not be dealing with. And that is what defunding the police is about. It is not about removing our police force from our country. It is not about taking police off the job or making them lose their job. It is about having them do the job that they should be doing rather than the job that somebody else could do for them in a way that is more humane and in a way that is much more succinct with what they were trained to do. The police in our country have far less training than in other countries. In other countries, police don't carry guns. They do not. And so we need to really look at what other countries are doing with much less violence and with a stronger police force. And we should be really, really, really taking a look at what we can do to make our police force feel more safe, and the people that should be utilizing our police force feel more safe. First and foremost, the people that should be utilizing the police force feel more safe because our police force have protection already. They have each other, they have weapons, they have bulletproof glass. More than 60% of these people surveyed, these transgender individuals, reported being physically assaulted. And 64%, so 60% being physically assaulted, and 64% reported being sexually assaulted by the police force when they went to them for their help. As of early October 2020, while just 16% of the trans population in the US is estimated to be Black, so 16% of our transgender population is estimated to be Black, 79% of the known trans homicide victims were Black. So 16% of our transgender population, I'm just going to say this again, 16% of our transgender population is reported to be Black. And 79% of the transgender deaths in our country are reported as Black victims. We really, really, really need to take a look at what we're doing, really, and how we're supporting our transgender brothers and sisters. I'm going to take a quick break from these facts because I have one last thing that I want to say. Again, I said this episode was going to be a little bit shorter, but I want to hear from you. I want you to talk to me. I want you to tell me what you're thinking right now. If you have any questions, I can't answer all of the transgender questions. I am not a transgender individual, but I am somebody who fights for my trans brothers and sisters. I don't know. I cannot tell you what they're going through. I can tell you what somebody is going through as a person of color in this country. I can tell you what somebody is going through as an LGBTQI plus person in this country. I can tell you as somebody who is indigenous in this country, but I cannot tell you what a trans person feels or how unsafe they feel. But I can tell you that I will fight for their lives and fight for their rights until I have no breath left in me to do so. So if you have any comments, if you just want to say, what the fuck, then go ahead and message that in right now. I hope that this episode gets shared out quite a bit. I don't usually ask that, but I do think that this is a topic that we need to be talking about more and more and more. I am very, very, very grateful that the Democratic Party won this election, and I do think that it is now time to hold them to their word. I don't think that they are going to disappoint us, but these trans lives mean something. They are somebody's brother, sister, aunt, uncle, cousin, niece, nephew, and friend. And they deserve to have their voices heard, their voices seen. They deserve to have roles on television and careers in music. And they deserve to be IT specialists and own fast food chains if they want to. So we need to make sure that they are protected as well as we are as cisgendered people. And I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you have to say and what you want to see and how you plan to march forward. So go ahead and comment in. I'm going to give it just a few seconds. Again, this is going to be a little bit shorter of an episode. We are going to play the names of the transgender lives lost this year. I'm going to intro that here in just a second, but I do want to hear from you. I want to know what you're thinking and how this episode made you feel. Did it make you feel sad? Did it make you feel angry? Did it make you want to take action? Let me know. And if these are comments that come in later, I'm totally fine to respond to them then. Again, I was just going to give it a couple minutes, and then we are going to wrap up this episode. I do want to say before we fully wrap up this episode, sorry, I'm caught on my own garment. Before we wrap up this episode, Uni Carey is still a huge influence. We can throw up another photo of her. Is still a huge influence in this community. My heart, my soul, my hurt and my pain, my energy and my light goes out to her family, chosen and biological. I know that Uni was a beautiful soul and took care of her grandmother, or who she called her grandmother, financially and physically, and her grandmother lived with her in their apartment in Miami. And so I hope that anybody watching that knows her is willing to give something maybe. I know Shay Larice, who is a very close sister of mine, you can find her on my Facebook if you don't know her, is talking about setting up a GoFundMe. There's a couple other people that have also talked about setting up funds for Uni's grandmother, who she called her mother. And so I am so heartbroken that Uni was taken from us, and just want to send my love out once again to the Larice and to Uni Carey's family. For those of you who didn't see in the news, Uni was actually taken from us by her partner. And that's all I will say about that, because if Uni's family is watching, I do not want to bring up that again. I do have one of Uni's family members with me. I'm going to give him a second to set up, but he's a very, very beautiful person, a friend of mine, and somebody that I cannot tell you how beautiful his soul is. And you probably, if you know him, you saw him on Facebook, you have seen him celebrate the life of Uni and her beautiful, beautiful, beautiful soul. He is, I believe, one of the Larice children. And I am going to bring Raul on. Hi, honey. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you. Do you hear me okay, or should I move?
It's breaking up just a little bit.
Let me move somewhere else because I am in someone's house and it's not. I don't have a lot of service here. Is this better?
Go ahead and talk a little bit more.
Is this better?
Yes, that's perfect. Perfect. So, as I said, I just wanted to bring you on as a family member of Uni, really, and just to give you my love and support, and to really talk about how beautiful of a soul she was, and how her legacy will live on in all of us. I know. First of all, I do want to say you have gone through so much this week, and you and the family are always in my thoughts and prayers and in my heart. And I have worked with you and talked to you a few times recently, and I just cannot tell you how much it means to me to have you here tonight, especially days after this has happened.
Thank you. I do appreciate you, and I appreciate everything that you do, not only for the community, but your voice. It's so powerful and inspiring and so educational. Not only the topics that you talk about, but everything that you bring up to the table is just always so professional. So I admire you and respect you for that. And I think that I speak for a lot of people when I say, thank you for that, because it's needed in this community in general, across our nation. When it comes to Uni, I'm going to try to just try to get through this without breaking down. It's been a few days of turmoil. It's uncertainty. When we got the news, when it happened, our family was separated. One of our best friends, who's Lazaro and Sammy, were in New Orleans. And they were she was actually supposed to be on that trip, and she chose not to be by the person that she loved. And that was a choice that she made. And I think that's part of the story that a lot of people do not know, that has not been advertised in news and things like that. But there's a lot more to what happened than what we actually know and what we read. But she was in town. So when the news broke down, they were there, we were here, and it was a lot of uncertainty. It was a lot going on. Baby, I'm on live. A live show right now. I know, baby, but I can't hear you. And she was loud, opinionated, strong-willed, and I think that because she was that way, she was sometimes very much liked and other times very much disliked. However, what a lot of people do not know is that she had a heart for many people bigger than herself. She cared about others more than she would for herself. And I think that as stories, start coming out of who she was, people will get to see that. And the one unique trait about Uni is that she was able to be grateful and to be able to say, I'm sorry, when she felt that she was wrong. And that's something that a lot of people do not have and do not share. The ability to bow your head and say, I was wrong, and I am sorry for what I said or for what I did. And that's one of the traits that I admire from her the most. I think about her and I miss her. I go over our conversations. that I have on my phone, and our pictures and the plans that we had for pageants and for things, and it's rough. It's rough to know that a person with so much love and that you love so much had to go through so much suffering the ending minutes of their life. Um, but what I would like everybody to know about who Uni was is that she was a forgiving person, and she was full of love. She was really full of love.
Yeah. I can vouch for that. I said this earlier, but I met her at Continental, and I just remember walking up to her and saying, "You were so beautiful on stage." And she went, "Oh my God, thank you, girl." And then we just had a conversation as if we've known each other for like 100 years, I swear. And so she really saw beauty in people, and she was such a beautiful person, and will continue to live. That beauty will continue to live on through you and through the rest of the family. I know that last night there was a show, and I'm sure that a lot of emotions came out during that. What was that? What was the feeling in the room? How were people celebrating?
You know, people that ran the club obviously had the need to do something for Uni, because she was so loved, especially in her hometown, and especially here, by all her peers and the people that she was always around with. But they also had a concern about, they didn't want it to be a funeral, I guess.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna make money, and a lot of people were close to her, but a lot of people were not. But surprisingly, everyone that was there for her, and the club was packed. And I'm a lot better now today, because I had a horrible week. I couldn't even speak a word about Uni without just breaking down. And I think yesterday we all had a chance to do just that. It was something that Lázaro, I have to say their names, because they were part of not only her life, but also what made her great. And Lázaro and Sammy and Franklin and Valeria and Monica and so many other friends that were there, that were part of our chosen family, just made this beautiful tribute happen. My mother, Shesha Larice, flew down from California to be there, and it was just a great feeling for all of us to be together. We had a chance to not cry, but we sobbed. We just let it all out. Valeria and Monica did a beautiful performance. If you don't know these girls, you have to follow them on Instagram or whatever it is the platforms are. But they did a beautiful, beautiful tribute with some dresses that were given to them by Uni, and some of her favorite songs to perform. And every time they came out, it was just a reminder of how sickening Uni was. And they had a big screen with a video montage of her finest moments, and we got the chance to hear her talk also, and hear some audio of some of the things that she would say, and some moments, and it was very special. So we got a chance to sob and let it all out. We also got a chance to party and celebrate, and remember so many things of what she would do, what she would say in certain moments throughout the night. And I think that helped all of us, especially me. It certainly did help me to kind of start my journey of moving forward, and keep going. So it was a beautiful moment. I know that my mother Shaisha wants to do a very beautiful memorial service in about 2 weeks. I believe we're gonna set up a GoFundMe because she did leave her grandmother that she cared for, um, and we are dealing with all of that situation right now. She has family in Cuba and not here, so we are like the middle. We're the family that needs to be here and kind of make those decisions and try to work everything out for things to happen. So there's a lot that is going on, and but there should be a GoFundMe being set up no later than Tuesday, and I hope that you all can contribute to not only this beautiful service that we want to do for her, but also for the care of the grandmother that she leaves behind.
Yeah. I just want to let you know that I will be happy to, one, contribute, but two, I will share that. That was going to be my next question, is how are we taking care of Uni's grandmother, who she called mother most often, and who kind of raised her. I just, my brain can't even wrap around how she must be dealing with this right now. And I know how you as my friend and Shay as my friend are dealing with this, and my heart just breaks for both of you and Brandana and the Reese family. But I just can't imagine how she's feeling right now, and she's had her entire world, her caretaker, ripped from her. So I will help however I can, and I will urge everybody that's watching to do so as well.
Thank you. Thank you. You're so great. I want to thank everybody for the love and the outpour of comments and messages and calls that I have received, that Shesha has received, that each one of us have received. It really has meant a lot. And, and it has also meant a lot to me. People that sometimes didn't see eye to eye with her have reached out and paid their respects and shared some moments and some comments with me about her, and that has been very beautiful. It has been very touching, and I wanna. This is what we're all about, and this is what we're supposed to be about. This was regardless of the person, of who it is. This was a tragedy. I mean, and no one should go through this. The autopsy was done 2 days ago, and the results are shocking, and it was rough. It was a real tragedy, and she took so much pride into how she looked because she put so much work into it, and and that person that we used to see and who she was no longer there after this tragedy. He destroyed her body. He destroyed her face, and no one should go through this. This is a call for many people, especially in our community, to be more conscious. This has been going on for decades, Aaliyah. You know that this is a problem that has been going on, not only from the tricks that kill, our trans women, or for, of these other men, etc., but even our own. We trash our own, we diminish our own, and we lessen the value of humanity of our own people. And it has been going on as a cycle for decades, and we need to break the cycle. We need to, when we don't see eye to eye with each other, when we dislike somebody for whatever reason that might be, break the cycle of hate, break the cycle of misery, break the cycle of violence. You have to break the cycle and try to be a better person. If the other person is not choosing to be better than you, then you need to choose for yourself. But we need to break it. We need to unite more than ever. We are at stake in on so many things, especially now that we have progressed as a community for so many years into this great thing that we have now. So we need to be mindful, who we're with, what we are and who we are about, and stick to your values, you know, as a human being, and your community, the one that's always, you know, backing you up. So that's I think that's my call, you know, for my peers, for my friends, for everyone that's watching and it's part of this community.
Yeah, thank you for that. I just want to again tell you how much love I have for you and how much love I have for the family. And anything you need, please reach out to me. I will always be here for you. And thank you for taking time in this very rough time in life to talk to us about how beautiful of a person Uni was and will continue to be through you and all of the other people that she loved in life. And I cannot wait. I know Continental has already done a tribute on their Instagram and on Facebook, but I cannot wait to see just how much more they will do when we are able to be live in person together, because I know that she was a huge part of that family, and we will all be celebrating her life together once that happens. So thank you for taking time. I just have so much love for you. So
thank you. I really do appreciate you. You know how much I love you and I respect you, and I am so glad that you reached out to me, and I want you to be a part of, you know, every single thing that we are planning to do. And I also want people to know that this is not because I'm part of Uni. This is, I will do this for anybody else. This was my sister, so I'm hurting deeply, and you know, it's part of my family. So of course it's personal to me, but it's also personal for anybody that I don't know that is part of my community. And the same outpour of love that Uni is receiving right now, you know, everybody else is worthy of it as well. So you know, all these efforts that we can all do together to lift up, you know, one person that was so sickening and so beautiful like her, you know, we all deserve it. We all deserve it. So I want to thank everybody that has done so. And I want to remind everybody that this is what we should be doing for everybody else. So thank you so much, Aaliyah. I appreciate you so much. And I'll keep you updated in everything that we're doing.
all right, I sending you all the love, and I please send me the GoFundMe's and all of that for Uni's grandmother, so that we can make sure that the rest of the community gets the message and that we can help her out in any way we can.
Thank you.
Love you.
I love you too.
Bye, sweetheart. Okay, we are going to end up this show the only way I know how. I'm going to read this because this is going to be a little emotional. I just want to say we're going to play a little montage after a video after this, and that's what's going to end the show tonight. Next week I will alert all of you on the guest, and I cannot wait to see you next week. But we're going to end tonight this way. I ask of you tonight to keep all of their spirits alive as their names come across the screen in a few minutes. And please say as many of them as you can out loud. These were husbands, wives, sons, daughters, mothers, cousins, fathers, nieces, nephews, and friends. I'm going to read them, and then we're going to go into the video. These are all of the names of the people that have been taken from us in 2020. Dustin Parker, Neolisa Luciano Ruiz, Yampi Mendez Arocho, Scotland DeVore, Monica Diamond, Lexi, Johanna Metzger, Serena Angelique Velasquez Ramos, Leila Perez Sanchez, Penelope Diaz Ramirez, Nina Pop, Hele Shea O'Regan, Tony McDade, Dominique Remy Fells, Raya Milton, Jane Thompson, Selena Reyes Hernandez, Brian Egypt Powers, Brayla Stone, Mercy Mack, Shockey Peters, Bree Black, Summer Taylor, Marilyn Caceres, Dior H. Ova, Keisha D. Hardy, Aja Raquel Roan Spears, Leah Rayshawn Day, Key Sam, Ariane Burnett, Mia Green, Micheline Ramos Vargas, Felicia Harris, Brooklyn Deshauna, Sarah Blackwood, Angel Unique, Unieski Gary Herrera. In addition, the report also from the Human Rights Campaign profiles 3 other cases of Black transgender women: Ashley Moore, Tatiana Hall, and Dria McCarthy. Not much information is available in these cases, but the Human Rights Campaign will continue to monitor for additional development. This year's report also contains updates on the death of Nikki Kuasen, Nahira Nesby, Mia Penny, and Laylene Cubet Polanco, which occurred after the publication of the 2019 report, as well as Jennifer Loud. Let's roll it.
Viva Aaliyah. Viva Aaliyah. Viva Aaliyah. Viva Aaliyah.
Dallas police investigate the death of a Black transgender woman who family members have identified as 22-year-old Merci Pootie Mack. Mack was found unresponsive in the complex parking lot on Tuesday.
Shocking murder in Puerto Rico is raising concern about the safety of transgender people in the U.S. territory. Video taken just before Alex Negron's final moments last week was posted on social media. It shows her being threatened and harassed before gunshots are heard. The governor of Puerto Rico says all signs in this point to a hate crime. The Human Rights Campaign says at least 26 transgender or gender nonconforming people were killed in the U.S. last year, and 91% of those cases were Black women, and 81% involved people under the age of 30.
Tonight, according to a list kept by the LGBTQ advocacy group, the Human Rights Campaign, in the past 5 years, more transgender people have been killed right here in Texas than in any other state. These pictures you see here behind me represent a violent and tragic trend happening all across our country and right here at home in Houston. These are the faces of trans women of color who were all murdered in cold blood. And tonight, we're taking an in-depth look as to what's fueling this violence and why local trans women tell me they're afraid now more than ever before.
Here to help us bring attention to the fact that this year alone, at least 18 transgender women of color have been murdered.
It's not just murders. Countless more of my trans brothers and sisters have survived brutal attacks. It's a subject deeply personal to me as someone fighting for transgender visibility, with many in my community wondering, am I next?
Tonight,
My name is Malaysia, and you can call me Lay.
the story of Malaysia Booker, an out and proud trans woman, brutally beaten, then murdered.
Say her name.
My reaction, honestly, was am I next?
Now taking a stand on the streets, on TV,
How lucky are we? We create ourselves.
and on the political stage.
Claire Legato, Dana Martin, Jasleen Ware, Ashanti Carmen, Claire Legato, Malaysia Booker, Michelle Tamika Washington, Paris Cameron, Shinelle Lindsay, Chanel Spurlock, Zoe Spears, Brooklyn Lindsay, Denali Berry Stuckey, Kiki Fantroy, Pebbles LaDime Dime Doe, Tracy Single, Bailey Reeves, Beloved Slater, Jalea Jamar. 18 trans women of color who have been killed so far this year. It is time for a president of the United States of America to say their names.
How will you, as president, reverse this dangerous and discriminatory agenda and ensure that the lives and rights of LGBTQ people are protected under U.S. law?
I will flat out just change the law. There should be zero discrimination. And what's happening is too many transgender women of color are being murdered. They're being murdered. There is no justification in any circumstances to deal with people in an inhumane way. None, none, none.